No. Old school got my Raiders cap. Got my Raiders cap. Old school got my Raiders cap. Got my Raiders cap. I got that pistol grip.
Thank you, and thank you. Welcome to Late Night Show with the Truth Speaker. I'm your host and your teacher, David. And as all teachers, I speak the truth. What a lesson we got ahead of us. And as always, what a great audience.
Aye.
I forgot. We have joined the modern society, and we are online, folks. This will be the students' instructional video for you to complete your task that we have talked about the recent lessons. And to save some time, I will answer your question right away. No, you cannot change groups. Back to the task. This video will contain all the necessary information for you to complete the assignment. And your assignment is that you will create your own news talk show. And it's gonna be about news.
This video will contain why are we doing this and why is it important to be critical, some advice how to engage your audience, the topic you can choose between, some important features to consider when you are choosing your sources, how to write a script, location tips from use when filming, and last, a revision plan and learning outcome.
So why do we have to be critical to news, you might ask? Easy. Today we have an easy access to international news. Not like back in the days when I was young. Now you can access it from anywhere at any time. When the editor pushes the button publish, it's on the World Wide Web and it's spreading fast on social medias like Facebook or Twitter. I think it's called Twitter. I'm too old for this. Anyhow, how is this a problem, you might ask? Well, I will tell you. When there is such a flow with news on the web, there are bound to be some rotten eggs in the basket that will enlighten us with the wrong information. And then you might ask, how is this a problem? Well, let me tell you. If you read a news article that you have no knowledge about, it becomes your truth, even if it's false. And of course you want to spread your newfound knowledge with your friends and your Facebook friends. And some of them will even spread it with their friends. And all of a sudden we have an epidemic on our hands. Just because you were not critical in your news article. Think about it. Heard that coffee makes you super smart. Read it in an article from nottrue.com. Now we're going over to one of my colleagues and your teacher, Joanna. Joanna, do you hear me? Are you there?
Well, thank you, David. You really had a great response from your audience. Or maybe not. As you can see, it's important to consider how you can make your news interesting to your audience. Remember to keep it simple. Think about how you can tell your story in the most engaging way without making it too complicated. Think about who your audience is. Who are you telling your story to? Remember also that news are based on fact and they should be true and accurate. As you remember, during these last few weeks, we've talked about 3 different news stories. You can decide to talk about all 3 news stories in your talk show or fewer.
Here are some articles relating to the topics you will work with. The first thing to do is to sit in your groups that we will divide you into and brainstorm on how you can discuss and look at these news and engage your audience. One way to engage your audience is to state a fact that is troubling, amusing, or remarkable. You could also ask a provocative question or offer a humorous observation or anecdote. And finally, tell the viewers what the topic has to do with them and how it affects their everyday life. So you can choose to report on border controls in Europe due to the large amount of refugees, or you can talk about the terrorist attack in Paris. The last choice for you would be to report on school shootings and gun control in the US.
Journalists today are increasingly using social media such as Twitter, Facebook and Newsmill as a way of finding stories, information and ideas. You can find information about stories that are popular in social media, but you would need to compare with reliable news sources to see what the angle and content is, as well as to verify them. And now over to Paulina.
Well, thank you, Joanna. A few important things that you should think about when doing this task is the use of your language. To expand your vocabulary, you should find a few words or sentences that are typically used in the news or in the media. You should stick to your chosen topic. However, if you find some articles or incidents that you find relevant to your article or articles, you should mention them briefly but descriptively and explain why you've chosen to bring them up. Is it due to similarities or to differences? You should find a variety of sources to give you information on your chosen topic from different perspectives. It's important to get several angles on the subject. There are different ways and criteria to establish a reliable source. For example, is it an established organization, government agency, or an expert behind the information? Is the information written in an objective or subjective way? Is the information containing facts, or is it personal opinions of the author? Now I will give you an example on how one subject can be presented through two different media outlets. In these two different articles, you can see for yourselves how news can be portrayed, in this case, in different countries. In Russian media, it is written that Norway is suffering tremendously due to that Russia stopped importing salmon from them. However, in Norwegian media, they show statistics on how last year was the best year ever for salmon exports, even though Russia stopped importing salmon from Norway. Since your task is to do a talk show, you should bear in mind that the guests should know their lines by heart, and that the time you have been given to do the film should be divided as equally as possible. You can see on the different examples we have given you that hosts do their interviews and shows in various ways. So you decide as a group which way would suit your task the best. On real talk shows, a host always have a TV prompt to follow or as backup. So if you want your host to use a script or something else for support, you're free to do so. Now over to Michelle.
Thank you, Paulina. Since we have watched many different news and talk shows during these past few weeks, I'm sure you've gotten some great ideas on how and where you would like to film your own show. But remember, it is not the setting that is the most important thing. It is what you say that matters. You can film your show almost anywhere. If you don't have a fancy studio to attend to, you can film it in your school, and the perfect place would be in the cafeteria, such as this one, or in your classroom. If I, as a news anchor, would sit here, my guest could sit on each side of me. Just remember, the important thing is that we all can be seen in the film.
Another example could be to film at someone's house. In the living room, for example, as seen in this picture. If you choose this type of setting, try to close the windows and turn off other electronic devices that could make noise. And again, remember that the host and the guest all have to be seen in the film. Another example would be to film in a park, as you can see in this picture. During the day, you could have excellent lighting, which would be perfect for your filming. Keep in mind that if you choose this type of setting, you should choose a quiet place, since the noise in the background could be disturbing. Also remember to keep your camera as far away so everyone is seen in the shot, but as close so we can hear what is said by you.
These were just 3 examples you could choose from, and a little bit of what to consider when choosing your setting. If your group have other ideas, please feel free to do those instead. Be creative and think about what your audience will find interesting and fun. The final part of this project is to show your film to your classmates. And afterwards, you should be prepared to answer some questions and also have some questions of your own prepared. The questions will be mainly about where you found your sources and why you've chosen them. The purpose of this task is for you to develop your critical and creative thinking to news and news sources. You should also be able to expand your vocabulary within the specific language and terms used in media, as well as using them correctly. You should know what news to trust and why, and this exercise should make you more used to and more comfortable with public speaking. And now over to David with some final words. Good luck.
We're on there. Sorry, students, sorry indeed. I was sending an email to a very, very important person. Sometimes that happens. Anyhow, now you have all the necessary tools for completing this task. And if you have any other questions, it will probably be answered in the handout. And if you got any further questions on, you can send me a mail that is described below. And now the credits will roll. Have a good and pleasant evening. Goodbye.